All right, Chapter 4, Engineering, Surveys, and the Construction of New Lines. Introduction. The construction of the new railway line with the capital is extensive. The project with the kilometer with the new railway lines, the range of 6 to 10 million, depending on the topographical area, the standard of construction, each of the other features. Therefore, the natural of the loft over that through the beginning with the final decision through the new railway line is all necessary and not. Need for the construction of new railway line. The need for the construction of new railway line arises because of one or more of the following considerations. Strategic reasons. Sometimes it's necessary to extend the existing railway line to new points of strategic importance so the defense forces can move quickly in the same area for the case of emergency, such as the threat of the war. The political reason new line sometimes becomes necessary to serve the political needs of the country. For example, the railway line of the Peng, Pathankat, Jaman. Developing the backwards area of the railway line. Sometimes the construction develops backwards for the experience that has shown with the railway communication available to backward will always develop very fast. Assam railway link can be classified in this category. To connect with the new trade center, some of the new trade centers that connected with the railway lines to quicken the transportation for the good of the two great centers of from the point of production to the point of consumption. Through the shortening of the existing railway line link, the existing routes between the two important points may be longer. The required new railway lines are constructed on the shorter line. In such a case, the short route is not economically, but also help with the faster movement of the good and passenger. The Kokon Railway is a typical example. Doubling the existing single railway line has been done with a few cases that come up with the additional requirement of the traffic. Recently, a large number of the projects that have also been undertaken the converting of the existing meter gauge of the submitting into a broad gauge line in order to have the uniform gauge from the smooth flow of the traffic. 4.2, the preliminary investigation of new railway line. Whenever the construction of new railway line is under construction, preliminary investigation is done with the railway administration to determine how the proposed line will fit in the general scheme of the future railway development. The preliminary investigation is normally based on the careful study following existing topo sheets, other maps of the area, the published figure of the trade of the population area to be served with the statistical data of the existing railway lines, similar trends in other areas. As a result, these investigations becomes possible to decide whether or not the new railway line is required as surveys that should be undertaken to get more detail. The new line will be complicated. 4.3, the type of the survey is one of the decisions that has been taken during the preliminary investigation about the general feasibility, desirability of the railway line. All survey that is undertaken before the construction of the new line. The following type of the surveys are normally conducted: trackways, traffic survey, the reconnaissance survey, the preliminary survey, the final location survey. The details of these surveys are discussed in the following section. 4.4, the traffic survey. Traffic survey. The traffic survey includes the details of the traffic condition in the area with a view that determines for the most promising route with the railway in the area the possible traffic the railway line will carry, then C, the standard of the railway line to be followed. Traffic surveys are normally undertaken in conjunction with the reconnaissance preliminary engineering survey, so the technical feasibility relative to the cause and alternate proposals can be formulated. Traffic survey team should work and with close operation engineering survey team with the survey team should review all trade centers in the area with consult local bodies to shape the government and prominent citizens regarding the trade and industry with the most suitable alignment for the new line. The track survey consists of the economical study with the keeping in mind with the following consideration: information of which will be collected in detail: human resource, the agricultural, mineral resource, the packet with the trade, commerce, the industry located with the project, with the prospect, with the traffic, tourist traffic, the existing transportation facility, with the location of the important government and private offices planning with economic development of the area. The traffic survey should make an assessment of the traffic likely carried by the new line while carrying the survey the detail of the traffic likely to be afforded with the various government organization, public body for the private enterprises as should be gathered. At the end of the survey, the report should be formulated. Officer in the chart for the formation of the report is governed largely nature for the term of the reference of the investigation made with the traffic survey report should be namely contain the following information: historical proposed term of the reference, general description, potential prospects of industrial economic development, track and projections, population projection, volume of the passenger traffic, existing rate with the in charge, location of the routes and routes examined, and alternate routes and possible extension station sites, importance in the train services and service capacity of various alternative ways of increasing coaching earnings, good earnings, working expensive net receipts, engineering features, the telecommunication facilities, financial improvement, the conclusion of recommendation. Your reconnaissance survey. The survey that consists of the rapid investigation area with the view to determine the technical feasibility of the possible proposal as well with the rough of the cost of one of the more alternatives to the new line. With the reconnaissance survey is and normally based on the contour survey maps other already available without carrying out the detailed investigation in the field with the help of the map. The different alternative alignments in the new line is studied. The general topographical country is studied, and the survey team of the final data is collected. 451 Survey Instruments. The recognizing survey is mostly conducted using survey instruments, rapidly measuring the approximate distance and length of the survey instruments used are the following: the prismatic compass, the magnetic bearing of the proposed element, the aneroid barometer, the instrument of the relative height of the various points, the ebony level and hand level, the clinometer, the measure for the gradients and angles of the slope, and binocular with a view of the physical features and pedometer to ideal of the total length traveled while working. 452 Modern surveying instrument technique. The modern survey instrument making the extension of the infrared beams, laser beams, as well as the computers using the instrument it is possible to carry out the fairly accurate surveying efficient at all times, eliminating human error. Electromagnetic distance measurement instrument. The electromagnetic distance measurement instrument rapidly automatically measures both the horizontal and vertical distance reading of the display of both of the computer screens. Examples of such instrument are the geodemometer and the telerometer, which have been used in the past. Electrical distance measure for the up to 80 kilometers during the day and the night. Modern electromagnetic distance measurement is much more advanced and versatile. Use of computers. The result of the field survey is recorded with the form of the angle distance, normal field book, electronic notebook. Using the quarters, using computers are possible to do all the calculations as well as the plot accurately. The output from the electro distance measurement can be fed into the computer, which can turn plot plans and sections. Using lasers and survey. Lasers acronym the list of the applications simulated with emission and radiation. The property of low division use of the alignment purpose of the invisible line with the sight. Ordinary survey instrument is replaced with the right beam of the laser. The beam is intercepted by the target composed of the light sensitive cells connected with the display panel. Most important aspect of the beam is in a perfect straight line. Distance up to 70 kilometers can be measured using a laser for the distance infrared beams are used. 453 field data. The following field data is collected during the reconnaissance survey. The general topographic of the country, approximate height of the different points of following the alignment of the position of the river streams, some of the hydraulical details of the same position railroad of highways and names as well as the different places of the rough location, various station sites, control points of the alignment there through the railway line facilities for the construction. 452, the project report reconnaissance survey. Based on the above the data, the report should be prepared with the engineering charge for the project, bringing out clearly from the financial point of view whether or not the prospect of the alignment surveyed as such makes it worthwhile to undertake further investigation to construct the line. The project report should be accompanied by the abstract estimate of the cost of the line. The report estimate should be accompanied by the map of the area and the scale of 20 kilometers to 1 centimeter, then as an index map of 2.5 kilometers to 1 centimeter. The preliminary survey. The preliminary survey consists of a detailed information examination for the route to be selected with the result of the reconnaissance survey in order to estimate the cost of the proposed railway line. Based on the preliminary and traffic survey report, the railway administrator decides whether or not the proposed railway line is to be constructed. 461 Instruments Preliminary Survey. The instruments used for the preliminary survey will depending on the topographic of the country and flora of the survey of element instrument of the normally used for the following: the theodolite for the transferring pegging with the center line, with the tachometer for the flying of the main features, dumpy level for the taking the longitudinal and cross levels of the plane table with giving the detail of the various features, prismatic compass for measuring the magnetic bearing of the particular alignment. 462 The field survey. The route selected survey with a greater detail with the preliminary survey. The survey normally covered the width with the 200 meters to either side of the proposed alignment. The following survey is carried out. The open transfer running along the center line with the proposed alignment with the help of the theodolite tachometer with the compass longitude, cross leveling the proposed route within a width of 200 meters to either side of the order to make the accurate contour map. Plane table the entire area of the obtaining the various geographical details. Special survey station sites, level crossing bridges using plane table. 463 The following information should normally be collected during the preliminary survey. The geographical information such as the type of the soil, with the strata, with the name of the nature of the rock, source available, the construction materials such as sand, aggregated brick, the cement, and the timber, the facility for the construction such as availability with the labor and drinking water, full detail for the land of the building required, detail for the existing bridge of the culverts, along with the information of proximity with the tanks and bounds, etc., which may affect the design of the bridge, detail of the road crossing, along with the angle of the crossing of the traffic, expected for the level of the crossing, high flood level, the low water level of all the rivers streaming and falling down, the alignment of the aids of the full detail of the station along with the facilities required. 464 Preparation for the project report. Reports of the preliminary survey provided with the estimate of the cost of the project report should contain the following detail: the introduction, character of the project area with the standard construction route selection, project engineering, including cost estimating, containing construction schedule and conclusion recommendations. 465. Cost estimate. The report should be accompanied by the cost estimate based for the preliminary report should be sufficiently accurate to enable the competent authority to decision regarding the construction of the new line. The estimate should be contained with the following details: an abstract cost of the line survey of the company with the abstract estimate with the junction or arrangement, the detailed estimate with the land tunnels, major bridge with the main and minor bridges, 1 kilometer permanent way with the roll stock with the general charges. Report and estimate should be accompanied with the following drawings: map of the area 20 kilometers to 1 centimeter. Index plan section, half a kilometer to 1 centimeter horizontal, 10 meters to 1 centimeter vertical. Detailed plan sections, planning station yards, and plan junction arrangements. Preliminary engineering come traffic survey. In particular, quite often the traffic survey and the preliminary engineering survey they are carried out simultaneously in order to expedite the project. In such the case of the techno-economic survey, the reports of the based on the preliminary traffic surveys are complied. Such techno-economic survey reports contain the following details: introduction, traffic projections, analysis of alternatives, the character of the project area, the standards construction for new lines, multiple track scheme of the gauge for the conversion, the route of selection, project description, project engineering for new lines, multiple training track schemes, gauge for the conversion, cost of cost phasing, investment, scheduled financial appraisal, and recommendations. 4.8. Final location survey. One of the decisions has been to make a particular railway line constructed, but the final location survey done with the instrument is generally the same as the case with the preliminary survey. The final location survey is done with the preparing the work of the details most accurate with the cost of the estimate. In certain cases, the the principal difference between the preliminary survey and the final survey is followed. The final location for the survey alignment with the fully staked will help the field delight with whatever the not obligatory to the case of the preliminary survey. The final location survey, the more detailed project prepared for the prepared report is prepared and submitted. All working drawings are prepared and final location survey. The following task is carried out with the final location survey. The center line is fully marked end peg with 20 meters at least each 100 meters with a large peg that should be used. The masonry pilers are built at the tangent points of the curve along with the center of line of the intervals of 500 meters. The longitude across the length of the association final gradient of the alignment. All the gradients are compensated with the curve. The site of the station are fully democrated with the final location survey. The following set of the drawings are prepared. The general map of the country transverse of the project for the scale of the 20 kilometers to 1 centimeter. Index map scale of 2.5 kilometers to 1 centimeter. The index plan with the section detailed plan sections. The landings, cross sections, plans of the station yard, detailed plan drawings, and structures plan of the junction arrangements. Objective for the following broad objective that shall be kept in mind with the selecting of the best possible alignment with the final location. Correctable, obligatory, easy grade with the flat curve, the minimum cost of construction, minimum adverse effect of the environment, and ease for the construction, potential high speed avoidance for the constraint with the future expansion and maintenance, minimum maintenance cost. The 482 project report. The final project report is prepared based for the final location survey. The report consists of the following introduction segment of the report. Following details are covered: the object investigation, broad background, program methodology, investigation, special features of investigation, characteristics of the project area. The segment of the topographical outline of the area with the geographical feature of the country is given the extent with which they are likely to affect the alignment, probability, stability of the line with the cost of the construction work, expense for the future, prospect of the proposed line with the climatic, rainfall, the characteristics, environmental characteristics, such as present corrosion factors, pollution, etc., which may have an effect of the design, maintenance for the structure of the bridges, and also as they are brought out. Standard for the construction. The segment that given the details of the following: the gauge is the depth of the proposed line with the reason, if any, of adopting it. The category of the line. The category of the line may be speed potential for the line with the maximal axle load strain standard of the bridge is the base for the adopting same rule and gradient with the grade adopted for the base for the selection curve, the sharpest degree of the curve adopted for the base of the adoption impact with the project and speed compatible with the category line. Permanent way, the rail section adopted the decision whether with welding the rails and will be carried out or in type, the density of the sleeper provided with the project estimate, the ballast, the type of the depth of the ballast cushion provided, station the space for the station with the case for the new lines, provision for the future and intermediate station with the scale facilities contemplated at the station, signaling and telecommunication standard with the signaling adopted for the scale of the communication facility provided with the traction, type of the traction proposed, the other detailed railroad road crossing station machinery, residential accommodation services, maintenance, etc. Route selection section provides the relative information data related with the various alternative routes examined, but they give the incident with the factors influencing the choice of the route and adopted for the project. Project engineering section 4 furnishes the information data for the project manager and enable to help to understand the scope of the exactions of the project. The system with the formulating strategy for the execution management of the project must focus on the problems likely to be encountered, identifying the areas requiring special attention, play for the knowledge and information gathered for the investigation stage for the evolving optimal solution. Estimating cost and construction schedule. The segment will give you the cost of the preliminary expense of the lost land formation bridge of the permanent way of the station built with the residential quarter of the road crossing, station equipment, signal and interlocking rolling stock, etc. The schedule of the construction as well as the investment is also given. The network shall be developed in the project costing of about $5 million. Railway about $5 million. Project organization section detail with the objection, organizational structure for the execution of the project proposed for the headquarters project manager for the other construction officers as well as the allocation of various construction activities, health, hygienic, and the condition provided with the staff as well as the provision of the necessary medical establishment made indicated along with the suggested plans provided with the housing staff, labor, the construction, temporary office buildings, comments regarding the availability of the water, the construction purpose of the suitability with the drinking, the purpose of the may also be given the purpose of the final cost allocation of such plans may be indicated. Tabulated result. The report accompanied with the tabulated result of the curve of the structure abstract with the gradient abstract with the bridge abstract, important bridges, and the station machinery, station, and station sites. Arrangement of documentation and report. All the documents pertaining to the final location of the survey report shall be in the following order: covering note, index report, list of the drawings accompanying the report, appendices to the report, historical, geographical aspects, location report, rates of the construction work. 4.9 modern survey technique for the difficult terrain. The difficult terrains, particularly with the hills, and modern technique for the survey aids for the B. Utilize preliminary survey of the railway line. Some of these survey aids are the following: satellite imagery with the remote sensor data, aerial photographs, topographical maps, and contour maps, digital terrain monitoring, and photographical plotted sheets. The modern technology we utilize for the carry out of the survey proposed for the railway line in Kashmir Valley over the upper part of the Quasigan. This area considered the difficult terrain, full mountain with the valley sensitive with the terrace activity, making field work very difficult. Satellite imagery provided with the bird's eye view with large areas. Such maps available with the Indian Space Research Organization, updated with one of the month of the ground conditions as well. With the appreciated combination of the satellite images, the topographical map, the use of the 2 or 3 promising alternative corridors can be more. The corridor has satisfied the survey object for the lesson show of the further analysis of the satellite data. Its initial stage of the planning has been greatest in those areas where which the existing map coverage of the supporting data is inadequate, where the field evaluation is extremely difficult. Aerial photograph. Aerial photograph of the entire country that are taken once every 3 to 5 years for the are available. The survey of the India. The photographs are used to gather the full, further detail and show for the corridor. The critical examination of the corridor used for the photograph that has been finalized, river crossings, tunnel locations, station sites, etc. Digital terrain modeling. Further detail of the railway line are worked out with the help of the digital terrain modeling contour map. The computer aids are used for defining the most of the economical alignment. The ground stations are fixed in the form of 2 mutual visual points of about 10 kilometers stretch. Although the details from these preliminary survey can be worked out with the help of the contour maps, photographic plotted sheets, and other computer aids. 4.10 construction of new lines. The main work involved with the construction of new line is following: land acquisition, earthwork, bridges, the station building, the staff quarters, the other allied facilities, including platforms and sheds, plate laying out, including the balancing of the track, opening the section of the traffic. 4.10.1 Land acquisition. The work of the land acquisition should start well in advance as though the legal and legal formalities are completed on time, and the position of the land can be taken with the start of the construction of the work of the land acquisition is done with the help of the number of the state with the government if the procedure laid down with the land of acquisition normally. Section 4 and particular for the land acquisition acts are applied with the acquisition of the land in India. Land is generally acquired for the giving the notice of the paying of the compensation for the previous occupant. In case for the emergency land that can be acquired with the urgently properly by operating special sections of Section 9 and 17 of the Land Acquisition Act of India. Land has been acquired should be adequate with the information burned with the borrower with the heads, and then should also be adequate provision for the future expansion. Even when the single line is to be constructed with land available should be sufficient for the construction of the double line for the future expansion. Normally, strip of the 25 to 35 meters of the land is required for the construction of railway line for the station yards, and an extra width of the land is required for the small station, which is normally adapted to 150 times 150 times 1,000 meters of the minimum land to be aligned to be conform to the following: width of the formation land should be acquired to be accommodated with the width of the formation side slope. The side slope depends on the nature of the soil. Is normally taken to 2 to 1 horizontal vertical. Width of the berms are usually width of the berm is kept at 3 meters. The borrow bids for the length of the land is very costly. Adequate length of there should be made available to the borrow pits. The borrow pits may be one side of the track low bank for the both side of the medium and high bank. When the land is costly, borrow pits need to be not to be provided. The earth may be borrowed for the adjoining area of the extra land that is required for the station yard level of the crossing bridge approaches. Earthwork and formation. Formation may be embanked for the cutting of it depending upon the railway level, the general contour of the air, the formation of the embankment need preferred for the point of the view with a good drain, but the height of the embankment depends on the height of the flood level of the area with a reasonable free with the water from provided above the standard width of the formation given in Table 4.1. The standard width of the formation of the broad gauge embankment is 6.10 single line meters and double line 10.8 single line double line meters. The cutting of an embankment from the broad gauge is 5.4 meters and double line 10.21 meters. Meter and gauge embankment 4.88 meters straight single line 8.84 double line meters. Meter gauge cutting 4.27 single line meters 8.23 double line meters. All right, some of the points worth nothing with regard to the specification for the earth is with the follow. The earth will is normally done within 30 centimeters of the deep of the layer of the soil as well as compacted. Mechanical compaction normally done after each of the layer with the help of the sheep foot roller, obtaining 90% of the maximum dry density of the optimum moisture content. Shrinkage allowance of 5% is made with the final cross section from the consolidation of the case for the mechanical compaction. For the other type of the compaction, the shrinkage is allowed to 10%. If the soil is not good, but the 30 cm centimeter thick bank of the provided with the top of the embankment, the area which of the bolts of the caution of the embankment, the earth from the cutting with it should be used for the embankment of the economical lead. The economical lead of the moving earth, the longitudinal direction determined by the mass Hall curve. For the early excavation earth over the earthwork in the section normally divided into different conventional zones, each of the zone with the earthwork requiring costing approximately road surface of 1.5 to 3 million. Tenders are invited with each of the zones separately so that they work progress simultaneously in all zones. 410.3 bridges. Bridges should be designed with the heaviest locomotive likely to pass through the section, depending on the topographical level of the country, with the type of the stream. The stream to be crossed, the hump of the pipe of the culvert, reinforced cement with the slab bridge with the pass of the plate girders with the pre-stressed concrete, the girder bridge with the steel bridge with the design with the bridges being important. Structures normally made with a double line track of the even single line section with the view of the point with the future expanse of the construction. Important bridges, space and tenders are called with the design construction details include the tender documents of minor bridge of the culverts normally include with the earthwork zones mentioned above. All right, 10.4. Surface of the building and staff quarters. Surface of the buildings, including station masters, office, the telegraphic office, etc., which basically requires providing services with the running of the trains. Apart with this, the staff quarters of the other passengers, amenities, and such platforms over the bridges, waiting in the hall of the retiring room. They also provided with the stations, many other ancillary facilities, also such as water supply, drainage, telephone lines, electrical city. Although it also made available to all the construction simultaneously take up the civil engineer, electrical engineer, single engineer, so they can be progressed together. 410.5. Plate lining, track lining. On the information the ready with the plate lining with the track lining linking with is required with the consistent laying of the rail to the sleep of the passing of the following method is adopted for plate lining. Laying. Or your tram line method. The method of the temporary line known as the tram line laid is of the proposed track of the taking the track of materials to the site. The method is using a flat tram with the length of the tram line with the unnatural grade with the being of the comparatively easy. The method is, however, seldom used in practice. Modification of the side method. The method is used on where the track of the bridge is carried on the side of the truck. On the surface road with the parallel of the truck to the track of the materials unloaded with the work site. The method is used only in case where the comparative flat gradients are available. In the American method, the rails and sleepers are first assembled in the base depot and the pre-assembled the track panels that are taken to the site along with the necessary cranes, etc. The track panels are unloaded with the work site manually with the help of the cranes, and they are laid. Final position, the procedure is used in mainly developed the country, particularly those the concrete sleepers are laid. Since the sleepers are quite heavy, it is not easily to handle them manually. Or your telescopic method. The method widely used by the engine rail. The method of the rail with the sleeper, the other fitting to be taken to the base depot, unload the track of the material, then take up the rail head of the track of the length and packed. The railhead is then advanced up to the extent with the laid track of the material is then taken up with the advance of the railhead with the help of the dip lorry. Track is arranged and length and packed, and in this way the railhead goes on the advancing of the till the full track of the length of the main operation involved with as follows. Unloading material. The track material is taken with the base of the depot, unload with the help of the material gauge. The first base of the depot of the junction existing line with the new line with the constructed track material is taken off the base depot with the help of the dip lorry with a special type of the trolley to the railhead. With the railhead go over the advance with the till the track is sufficiently length. After that, the subsidiary depot is established with a distance about 5 kilometers when the track is to be taken with the help of the material train. Alternatively, the track material is moved from the base depot with the help of the dip lorry open only up to the the distance about 2 kilometers by the material train beyond the distance in the base depot to advance arrangements such as the adzing and boring of the sleeper arrangement match materials are made so the track is linked into some possible as soon as possible on the site. Our track linking. One of the track materials unloaded with the track is linked with the help of the linkage gang. The following procedure would they normally adopt. The string of the first stretch with the center line with the alignment of the sleeper delayed with the center line with the string in the center of the delayed roughly through the desired spacing, keeping the total number of the sleepers per rail intact. The rail carried with the rail tongue with the kept on success with the bank and almost with the final position. Carrying the rail is a very strenuous job. Each rail weighs about 600 kilograms or about 12 to 15 gang men are required to carry one rail. Especially top of the rail carrier known as the Anderson rail carrier can be used to carry the rails with less strain. Sleepers spread out over the formation of the rails have been marking with the final position. Sleepers should come with the small fittings of the fish plates, bolts in place near the joints or other steady fittings required at each of the sleeper placed near the end of the sleeper of the rails and then placed with the sleeper fixed with the help of the fittings depending on the type of the sleeper. For example, the case of the sleeper of the rail screws that are used for the fixing of the rails to wooden sleeper. In this case, the steel sleepers rails fixed with the help of the key, the bearing of the plates are provided with the wear required and prescribed in the track. The rails are joined to each of the keeping the proper gauge. Nowadays, normally the three-plan panel are initially used for the lining of the truck. In case of the single panel of the three panel with the adequate expansion gaps should be left. Recommendation: expansion gaps are provided with the help of the steel line of the shim of the correct thickness, which are the fixed between the two rail ends. The track is thoroughly impacted enough. The heat, the beaters, the packaging, and the packing and the gang. The following aspects should be checked. The track should have the proper grade, and the track should have the proper curvature. If it's on a curve, the cross level should be even. The super elevation to be provided with the outer rail should be raised to have the recommendation super elevation. The track should thoroughly be packed. No plate spaces should be left. Ballast for the track. The ballast is normally spread with the rail lines after the embankment is solid with at least the two monsoons that have been passed over to it. The ballast is generally done with the help of the ballast drain, which have the special hop through the ballast, which can automatically unload on the track. The alternative to the ballast is carried on the cess, laid on the track normally using either method of ballast through the pack of the inserted under the track. Summary: the purpose of conducting the new railway line in the area of the strategic political development, new construction requires the excessive thinking and the planning of the investment. The range of the preliminary investigation are carried out to determine the feasibility of the new job project. The various kinds of surveys are conducted to this end. This money can spent to the survey not recovered. Therefore, it's extremely important to conduct the survey whether or it's possible, precisely and thoughtful. The various types of surveys are carried out using appropriate instruments. The outcome of these surveys are detailed project report elaborating the work drawings. And then it goes over some questions. And we're on Chapter 5, Track and Track Stresses.